We know the Pacers, but that's of the past. To be specific, of the Ron Artest and Jermaine O'Neal sequences. To go that far into history, we want to go back. We're going a bit further into the future though. Paul George's Indy squad back in 2014, escalating to the Pacers drafting Miles Turner in 2016, in all fairness trading for Oladipo and Domantas Sabonis in 2018, in return for Paul George to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Let's talk about Paul George's actions first. He had a team of defending menaces who could also hit their shots, minus Roy Hibbert for his rebounding and protection in the paint, which was soon a role that was taken by a rookie named Miles Turner. Miles Turner was a lottery pick in 2016, and he stayed to the 2025 season and departed to Milwaukee in free agency. But before that, he played with a team of Oladipo, Domantas Sabonis, and a real throwback name of Bojan Bogdanovic. But hell, even they made it far in the playoffs, but had major injuries during the gameplay actions of the rough playoff berth games.
Pacers! 1, 2, 3, Pacers!
Making acquisitions in the locker room for guys like Tyrese Halliburton from Sacramento to send Sabonis and a Buddy Hield to Sagtown for their own rebuild process for the Kings. Not only that, but they also acquired Obi Toppin from the Knicks, and then Aaron Nesmith and Daniel Theis from the Boston Celtics for a swap for a guy we don't even remember in Romeo Langford. The team dominated as underdogs in the regular season, and the playoffs arose to the other teams collapsing to Rick Carlisle style play, whether it was a substitution on offense or defense. The first round was against the Milwaukee Bucks. The Fear the Deer chants of Giannis and company's fans roared throughout the arena. 2 games there and 2 games in Indiana. Cambridge was even louder for their fastly transitioned team Pacers. It kinda looked like the Indy 500. The flashy passes from Hallie, the dunks from Nesmith and Siakam, with a little flash from Obi Toppin running from the logo of half court to the stanchion of where the basket is. Let's not forget, assist patterns of TJ McConnell and Andrew Nembhard with even loose layup movement to get to the basket. Guys like Tony Bradley and Thomas Bryant also sat on the bench for the remainders of the game till they were given a shot. Advancing to round 2, the next test were the Cleveland Cavaliers, who consisted of Garland, Mitchell, Mobley, and Jared Allen. The bench had a Ty Jerome and a DeAndre Hunter, who were just previously traded and signed. Aaron Nesmith came alive in the series for not just hitting corner threes, but for his defensive presence they had on the guards. Cleveland, this was for you, not for long, diving for loose balls, hustling to get back on defense, cutting the lead to close deficits, having Cleveland fans jumping and showing expression of how much they want their team to win. The backdoor cuts, the splits, the action of the Pacers was flawless and not stagnant. They're moving on to the Eastern Conference Finals. Madison Square Garden was on its way. The choke, seen by Reggie Miller back in his 90s era of basketball, was replicated by a Tyrese Halliburton jumper that was hit to go into overtime. We know the Pacers were hot, and we probably knew they were going to move on. Did Knicks fans want to believe in the ruckus? We're not going to see these dogs in New York for much longer. Miles Turner's dunks, more Nesmith's presences, and the star of the show being Tyrese Halliburton. Getting his flashy dishes off, the cook sending his dishes off from the kitchen. He defined what Cook was when he dished a pass to Siakam for a lob slam. After one more final game 7, Obi Toppin ended with the lob slam to the basket, which led them as Eastern Conference champs. But they weren't the only champs though. The next matchup was OKC, the barking, electrifying young team with the MVP of SGA and J-Dub with a broken wrist.
The game was back-to-back in Oklahoma. One possession, it's Indy's ball, to the next being Oklahoma taking the lead and just both teams playing to win. It's playoff basketball, injury prone and ready to go home. Nesmith hurt his ankle in the previous round. The next slot reserved for injury was in the Game 7 second quarter. Tyrese was being guarded by SGA and falls to the ground after doing a hesitation move and falling over to tear his ACL. He was gone the previous 2 games to calf soreness, and that was jaw-dropping to see him go down. That's how 2025 concluded.
"2026, it's almost time for the playoff competition again. The Pacers are dead last in all rankings since the Halliburton injury. Miles Turner left for the Bucks, and Thomas Bryant was sent to Cleveland to play more minutes. Keeping pieces such as Jarris Walker, Ben Shepherd, and Obi Toppin from injury, the Pacers were in a rebuild setting. 15-54 being their current record right now on March 18, 2026. They had to do something. Acquiring guys like Jay Huff and some undrafted names such as Kobe Brown, Johnny Furphy, Talon Peter, Cam Jones, Quentin Jackson, Jalen Slauson, and Micah Potter. A roster building for next year. But they also had to make some trades. And the move that was important was getting Ivica Zubac and training players like Isaiah Jackson and Ben Mathurin to the Los Angeles Clippers, with the first round pick also on the move. The team is still learning to play with each other. Zubac for his presence as a big, pick and roll, rebound, defense, and his polished back to the basket hook. Other lights, players such as Nesmith and Toppin have returned from injury, while Tyrese Halliburton is rehabbing with the staff from the Achilles, and he will be announced to come back sooner or later. Indy, they'll be back. And lastly, we have some final thoughts. What does this mean for Indy? They're missing the playoffs, but are starting from scratch. Are they tanking in a way to get a top prospect out of college or from overseas? Does their 2026 record even really matter? Not really. We knew the injuries were coming out for the 2025 season. They're not on their last leg. They're in for a ride in the next couple years, maybe even months, to see if there is a gamble into a prize position from the Clipper trade. The 2026 season is coming to an end. The playoffs are around the corner, and as much as the 2020 playoffs were dazzling and a walk to remember, processes need to be done. As fans, we need to be patient. Painting a picture we've already seen was torn to shreds. That's going to be a fun story to tell. What's next?